So, I went on YouTube and I listened to a video talk on what this is and what it actually means, because I don't know what it is, because I haven't been in dive deep into this world, personal development or whatever, for too long. And I listened to it and it's like, is that what it really is? And that's how it is. So today I want to talk about what, like, self-care, because I don't know what it is. I don't know what it means, right? People will say, take care of yourself or self-care. And I was like, what does it actually mean, right? And basically what it actually means is do the things that restore your balance of your well-being, so you can function better, so you can do the things that you want to do or you want to accomplish. Because I listen to a lot of different aspect of people, what they do, and it's what make them restore their balance, right? And it's like, very interesting. In my perspective, in my thoughts, it's like, well, self-care could be many things, but self-care also meaning to do the things that you wanted, not what other people want, right? And it's like this, right? Because I was listening to, what does people think when people wear a suit, right? Now people will say, when you're wearing a suit, that means you're successful. But he can be wearing a suit and he's broke. While a person who looked like a bum could be successful. Think about that for a second. But people don't think about that. Now, you're probably saying, if you have not watched the different style of big entrepreneurs, big leaders, they have their own different style. Do you know why? Because they come from different background. Listen to this carefully. They come from different background. They grow up very differently, and they have their style of lecture, their style of things that they do is because their upbringing and how they grow up into it. Like, if you don't know who Dan Penny is, he's a billionaire, and he's a very brutal. Like, people say he can be controversial, but he's a billionaire and he's successful, and his style of way of doing things very tough. Well, because you have to look at very wide of spectrum, right? And I remember I was talking to a guy, and I was asking, what does a man mean to you? What does that mean? He's like, you don't think about that. It's not on it's not on people's mind about these things, right? And so it's like this, right? The only reason why I said that, because people criticize or people look at Gary Vee, right? And because he don't wear the suit and whatever makes it successful, because suits are actually a facade. It's actually it's an image, right? Let's say you wear a suit. It's an image print. So basically you're using an image to print into the mind of the people that you're successful. It's a subconscious thing where basically you're using this as to make you seem successful, but you could not be successful. Or the other way around, that you wear a bum raggedy clothes and you're walking towards success. But success does not mean, it means to each. Here's the thing that I want people to understand. Success, we have to remind people, success means something totally different to us, to what other people wanted us to be. We have to understand that. Because if you're going, you have to allow people to do the things that make them grow, make them, if they fall, right? Here's the thing that people don't, if they fall, right, people don't allow other people to make mistakes. So that's the problem. So here's the thing, because I was listening to Gary Vee video talk, and he was talking, people were looking at judging him because he's not wearing a suit, right? But he's successful. He's a millionaire. He owns his own company. He's a CEO of his own company, VaynerMedia, right? And he talked to successful people. He talked to he's friend with Mark Zuckerberg. Right? Facebook, right? And other tech CEOs, right? And also he talked about others, tech billionaire CEO look down on him because he's not doing the things that they are doing. But his message is the only reason why he cursed and stuff, because that's himself. He wanted to be himself, right? Most people don't like that. That's why a teacher often say you should stop cursing, so the student can listen to his message, because he have a good message, right? And in each part of our life, we will change. We're not the same person every time. And I think that people have to, because if you're the same every time, that means you're not growing, you're not doing the things that make you push yourself. That's what end up happening to people. Because people give advice on the things that they are doing. But instead of, you have to look back and zoom back, and it's like, why? Okay, it's like this, right? People would say, go get a job that you've been doing for a long time. No. What you should say is, go do something that you never done before to build the skills to attack the thing that you're afraid of doing. So that make you see a new perspective. But people don't say that. People say, oh, do this. No. It's like people talk about education, but people stop educating themselves when they're out of high school or college or whatever that is. It's an ongoing process. It's never ending. And that's why you have to allow for people to change, because it take a long journey. Now, let me give you an example. Because I was reading a book about this, where you would see, let's say, because it was in the book, where let's say you would see a woman, and at first she was all happy and joyful, and she was not in a mess. And you could say she was taking care of herself or self-care. But in fact, because she was joyful of her husband, right? And then the manager would see that and say, oh, wow. But something happened. She was all a mess one day. And you would probably say she's not taking care of herself. You'd be like, oh, what ended up happening? Right? So then the manager saw the lady, ask what happened. Her husband just died. Right? The love of your life just died. Right? And so she ended up being a mess. And she stopped taking care of herself. So each point there in our life, we have stress, chaos, and depression, or whatever happened, because that's life. And so what ended up happening is, when the manager talked to the woman, she become better. See, that's what I mean. And here's the thing that I was thinking about a lot. What was I thinking? Alright, so the thing is, I don't like one-way street interviews, because I've seen it all too often. It's like a bunch of questions thrown at you, but there's no connection. There's no so what do I mean by connection? Well, here's the thing. You will hear over and over, if you want people think that I don't understand them, right? And of course, probably don't, because there's many aspects of people that you have not shown to people. That's the thing. What it really means is, you have not walked the shoe that I have walked, so you don't understand me. That's what it means. And people are always looking for ways to relate to you, your aspect of who you are. You give part of yourself. And that's what I have learned through talking to people, that I can relate to people in some part of the way, because I've experienced it. And if you have not experienced what other people experience, you cannot understand them. That's why I wanted to my YouTube channel to be able to hey, I've been where you've been. Not entirely, yes, but I've been where you've been. and I might not have been you've been, right? And I'm gonna go somewhere I need to go. And that's the whole point of me doing interviews or talking to people, to understand their point of view or their worldview, because I want to understand why they think like that. Like, what experience you have that could be of value to other people because they never experienced it and they never thought about it like that. Because I hate it when you're just doing an interview and it's like one-way street and I cannot connect with this person and they're not relating to me. It's not about me, but it's about the audience, and it cannot relate to me. And my mentor once said that you have to remind, because I remind him of what he used to be. I hear it over and over again, right? It reminds me of him, right? Just like my friend said, I remind me of his younger self. And you have to you have to remind people who they used to be, or each aspect, because I'm showing part of each aspect of who are they used to be or who they're going to be. And if they're in that situation, you can bring people up that level, but you have to go through that journey. That's why this is a journey. That's why you go through the things, because you can't, if you haven't experienced it, if you haven't gone through the things, then you would not have to understand them. You cannot, because each part, people do want to get people, that's why like-minded people are like-minded people, because they have studied. Now most people, I didn't get this way if I didn't study, if I didn't understand, if I didn't read, or if I didn't educate myself. I would not have become like that. That's why, because it's my default. When I go this way, I don't. Long time ago, I could care less. I mean, I do when I was a kid, like 19. I do talk a lot. My friend, back in college, I remember my friend. I told like, yeah, I'm gonna be a bit quiet and I'm not gonna talk. And it's like my friend's like, you can't do that. you can't, Johnny, you always like to talk, right? And that's the thing, that you have to remind people of who they are, where they're going, and you have to relate to them. If you cannot relate to them, it's really tough, right? And that's why I learned from my journey is that each part people want to relate to you in some way, and you give part of yourself in some way, shape, or form, right? And you have to let people be people, and they're not perfect, and they will never be perfect. It's just that because we have an outlook that is very different, worldview, that it's not easy, right? And that's the thing that I want to get across, that you have to listen to different part of why people do what they do. And that's why I wanted to do interview like that. I wanted to somehow bring the audience in and say that everyone you look up to, whether it's Justin Bieber, whether it's Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, or people, they all have something in common that they can share with you, whether they're a success, or their failures, or how they related to you. And each people have experience, and they can bring it to you, right? But the thing is, since either we don't have an affinity towards, we might not listen to it. And so that's my point. A long time ago, I would never actually think like this, right? I never actually would listen, talk to people or listen to people what they're interested. But because it's my habit, I hate small talk. I really do. You have to allow people to do that. It's like, for me, when I engage, of course I listen, but after it, that's it. There's no, since people have not educated themselves a lot, you can't have or experience the things that you want to experience. It's very hard to get the conversation go again if you keep seeing them every day or a couple of days. They're not interested in what you're interested in. It's very hard. You can go, because there's many different levels of relating to people. That's why that's what I'm trying to get you to understand, because you, like a kid, you have to, adults can't relate to kids because they've forgotten how to be a kid, so they haven't dumbed that down, right? So that's why I'm trying to say, when the kid, you have to dumb it down and be a kid. And there's a level. So I don't want to be a kid. That's not my point. Being is, you have to relate to people in each level, right? To where they are at, not where you are at. That's why I put out videos that try to relate, because the guy said, you haven't done what I've done, but you don't know what I've done. You can't say that. That's that's like the whole thing, right? And so that's what you have to be able to relate to people in some way. Remember, successful people is like, or my mentor always said like this, because he's a very intelligent guy. You have to remind people, like, I remind him of him when he was a kid, and maybe some part I remind you of you when you did something, or you did do, or you're currently going through something. That's my thoughts today.